Trigger warning for basically, well, everything.
What would you say this film means in terms of legacy?
I think it's just a movie. I think the film is attempting to... The film is about the meaning of Marilyn Monroe. What does she mean? How should we feel about her? What does she represent?
She represents a person who actually existed, so yeah, a little weird.
Why is she like the American goddess of love of the 20th century? You know?
And for the first time, maybe we see Marilyn from the eyes of the men who wanted to have her.
I don't think we ever see Marilyn through the eyes of the men.
Why did you decide to tell the story this way, and what was your primary intent behind these techniques?
I want to put you inside her.
What do you mean by that?
And I also want to put her inside the collective memory of her. So you feel like she's sort of trapped in that.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
You won't hurt me this time, will you? Not do what you did the last time?
I didn't mean to.
Yes, you meant to. It was your decision.
Yeah, this movie is a hot ass mess, and to save you the trouble of having to watch it yourself, I watched it and I'm gonna give you guys my take on everything. This movie was like a never-ending bad trip. Here's a visual representation of how bad it was. If it's one thing about the internet, we will not hesitate to collect like the Avengers when we do not like something. I can say with confidence that it's been a while since the internet has collectively hated a movie as much as they have the film Blonde by Andrew Dominik, with the cast Anna de Armas, Adrian Brody, and more. I can also say with confidence that I did not think that the backlash was that serious until I watched the movie. And guys, this movie literally made me sick to my stomach. I am not kidding. To save you from watching that and putting you through the pain that I went through, I decided to watch the film for you guys and come on here and not only give my review on it, but also give you the main plot points and a lot more information that honestly makes you question the reason why this film was made. This video is sponsored by Self-Expression. The links will be in the bio. If you plan on watching the movie, which I don't know why you would, honestly, just out of maybe curiosity, but if you plan on watching this movie, definitely skip this video because major spoiler alert, we will literally be going through the entire plot because it's really necessary to the point of this video. First, talk about who Marilyn Monroe was. The real story of Marilyn Monroe. According to Wikipedia, born Norma Jean, Monroe was raised in Los Angeles, spending a majority of her childhood in foster cares and an orphanage. She was married at 16 and worked in a factory during World War II. Around this time, she met a photographer and began a successful pinup modeling career, which led to short-term contracts in acting with Fox and Columbia Records, which both lasted around a year each. She starred in various minor films until signing a new contract with Fox in the late 1950s. She became well known in her roles in As Young as You Feel, Monkey Business, Clash by Night, and Don't Bother to Knock.
You tell them I didn't mean it.
She faced scandal after people realized that she was a pinup model and after images of her posing nude resurfaced. Instead of it ruining her career, it actually raised more public interest. It was kind of like what paved the way for a Kim Kardashian. By 1953, she had become Hollywood's most recognizable star, playing in roles as the dumb blonde in comedies like Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and How to Marry a Millionaire. This was also the year her images were used in the first issue of Playboy magazine, and keep that in mind because we will be coming back to that. She was really frustrated about being typecast as a dumb blonde and wanted roles that were not solely based on her sex appeal. The studio refused to change her contract, so she went on to start her own film production company. Marilyn was severely underpaid and was not paid for stuff like the Playboy magazine, which made millions and millions of dollars off of her images.
You did this for what?
Why not?
Why?
Why not?
She was a very accomplished young woman in her field, winning various awards and accolades, as she deserved, guys. This woman was, I don't even want to say an actress, just an artist, in my opinion. The fact that she was seen as just this dumb blonde is absolutely beyond me, because if you look at her acting skills, there's intellect behind that. You have to be very smart to be able to be that emotional on camera and not seem like you're faking. Her private life, like most stars, received a lot of attention as she unfortunately struggled with addiction, and it's thought that she had a mood disorder. I say this in quotes because it's not really confirmed. There's nowhere really that says that this is true, and I think a lot of this just comes from speculation because her mother was known to have struggled with mood disorders. Her marriages to retired baseball player Joe DiMaggio and playwright Arthur Miller were both very public and ended in divorce, and unfortunately lost her life on August 4th of 1962 from a drug overdose when she was just 36 years old. Her death was ruled a probable suicide. So as turbulent as Monroe's life seemed to be, she was extremely successful and extremely strong, especially for the time. A lot of people forget how difficult times were back then for anyone but white men. Of course, white men had their own issues in societal roles, having to go to war and different stuff. They have their own issues too. I can't deny that. However, they were the ones that held an extreme and unjust amount of power over the majority of other people, including women. She overcame various barriers and is still rightfully talked about to this day and will probably be talked about for the rest of history. Rest in peace, Marilyn Monroe. You are a beautiful soul.
So men are following me.
Regardless, there are many people who over the years have tried and have honestly successfully exploited not only Marilyn Monroe's life, but her death as well, all for monetary gain. The most recent example, which was released on September 28th of this year, 2022, Blonde. I'm gonna give you guys another chance to skip this spoiler, either click off, or I will also include timestamps, so if you don't want me to spoil the plot for you, you can go ahead and skip to the end where I will be giving my opinions on the whole movie altogether. But again, big spoiler alert. We are literally about to go over the entire plot of the movie. This movie is loosely based on the book Blonde, which was fictional like the film. However, the movie is fictional in its own right, separate from the book. The young Norma Jean was raised by her unstable mother, Gladys. Gladys had a strange obsession with Norma's father and blames Norma for leaving her. She tries to drown her in a bathtub, but Norma escapes to her neighbor's house where they allow her to stay for a few days until dropping her off at an orphanage. She suffers abandonment issues and daddy issues throughout her life because of this. In the 1940s, Norma Jean becomes a pinup girl under the stage name Marilyn Monroe. While trying to break into the acting industry, she is by a film studio president, Mr. Z. She auditions for Don't Bother to Knock when she has a full meltdown, but still impresses casting directors enough for her to get the job. As her acting career rises, she meets Charles Chaplin Jr. and Edward G. Robinson Jr., who she begins a polyamorous relationship with. Now, after being spotted out with them, she's told by her agent to limit public appearances with them, and she becomes pregnant with Charles's baby, which she is extremely happy about initially, but decides to have an abortion because she feared the baby would inherit her mother's mental issues. On the day of the appointment, she changed her mind, but it was too late. She shortly afterwards ends her relationships and meets Joe DiMaggio. After she films Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, she receives a letter from a man claiming to be her father. She returns to her hotel expecting her father to be there, as she was told to expect a guest, but it was actually Joe, who was there to ask her to marry him. Their marriage goes awry as he abuses her, one specific incident in which he gets violent after finding out about the nude photos of her and the publicity stunt with the white dress. In 1955, Norma auditions for the Broadway play Magda, written by Arthur Miller, impressing everyone but him. He eventually warms up to her and they actually get married and she gets pregnant. She then feels her baby tell her to not do to that baby what she did to the other baby. After tripping and falling, because she's dumb, she miscarries. You guys, just stick with me here. I know. We'll get into it. While filming Some Like It Hot, Norma becomes uncontrollable and mentally unstable. She is overwhelmed by the press, she feels like she's a joke, and has outbursts on set. By 1962, she becomes dependent on drugs and alcohol. A Secret Service agent picks her up intoxicated and takes her to a hotel to meet the president, who forces her to perform oral sex. Then rapes her. She then hallucinates having another abortion before she is sent back home to Los Angeles. Now Cass sends her a package which contains a stuffed animal, and in it, it's revealed that the notes were never from her father, but they were rather from Cass. Before we get into it, I just want to go over the fact that this obsession with Marilyn Monroe has existed forever, and it's really important to know about it and how powerful it is in society. This is not new, and it's obvious when this is someone's goal. In short, people like Hugh Hefner are good examples of how unhealthily obsessed some people are with Marilyn Monroe and how society is as well. He literally bought a plot for him to be buried in next to her grave. That is so creepy. People, for some reason, could not conceptualize the fact that she was not an idea. She was a human being who represented a lot, yes, but when you view someone as an idea rather than a human being, I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say that that is a very slippery and dangerous slope. I don't think I have to explain why. It's the exact reason why people are able to commit evil acts, because they don't see someone as a human being. If you don't see someone as a human being, then anything you're doing is fine. And if you're exploiting someone who's just an idea, then it's justified. Overall, I want to give you guys some of the scenes that were the most damaging in my opinion. Now, honestly, before we even get into that, I want to make it clear that I absolutely hated every single second of this movie. Why? Because of the concept and because of the reason it was filmed. In my opinion, the abortion scene, the constant references to her father and abandonment issues, the scenes, the fact that they were not true, mind you, and the depiction of mental health. I mean, it goes without saying that this film was fictional. We get it. But with every element, especially in a film, in a biopic such as Blonde, there is a goal and there is a message. And the message was very, very clearly not in favor of Marilyn Monroe, but rather in favor of what a man would view Marilyn Monroe as. And it's very, very obvious. I honestly don't think that there was a single woman, sane woman, who was involved in the making of this movie. I genuinely do not think that anyone who wrote this movie was a woman. And I know that Andrew Dominik was the main one that wrote it, but obviously, you know, there's editors or whatever the case may be, people that review it. I don't think a single one of these people were a woman. And it's sad because I don't feel like it's fair to just say it's a woman versus man thing, because a lot of men are sane enough and rational enough to know that there is a certain way that you just simply don't speak about people, especially when they're gone and can no longer defend themselves, even if the storyline is made up. And for me, It's like, why make up this type of storyline in the first place? It's very clear that the main message here is that Marilyn Monroe represents all of the girls with daddy issues who uses their looks to cope and has mental issues and is just a pretty dumb beauty. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. It's just a possession of whatever country she represents, which happens to be the United States. In this movie, there is no mention of Marilyn's success in her career, like founding her own production company, which is significant because her dissatisfaction with her contract was included in the story. So why did they mention this, but not the other half of that story? And obviously it's fiction. Someone wrote this. So they specifically avoided including that bit because of the narrative they were trying to push to the audience. The problem for me, and I feel like the problem for a majority of people, is why would someone want to view this as what Marilyn Monroe was? Why would you want to see someone who is gone be represented in the worst possible light, period? And especially when you consider the fact that a lot of this stuff is fabricated and based off of a real person's life who is no longer here to defend themselves. The movie literally reduces her to her trauma and bad experiences. And the way this movie was marketed was like it was some real life story. I mean, it's clear that there are going to be some people who look at the story and go, wait a minute, was that really her life? And for me, I'm not very, I don't investigate into anything until I find it necessary for, context or whatever the case may be. So I personally did not know much about Marilyn Monroe before watching this movie. So I watched the movie and I was thinking, wow, Marilyn Monroe's life was sad. And that was literally my first thought going out of this, right? So I go to the internet and I scroll under this thread and I'm like, wait a minute. So that was mostly fabricated? And I'm sure a lot of people who are like myself, who did not know much about Marilyn Monroe, thought the same thing. And it's absolutely mind-boggling that someone would even want to view someone in this light and then call it art. What the hell is artistic about that? What the hell is artistic about that? I mean, from a visual standpoint, from camera angles, from creative choices, it is very artistic. I'll give you that. It's great. But it doesn't matter if the concept is absolutely heinous, and that is the problem. It is literally just sensationalizing Marilyn Monroe and reducing her to her trauma. And nowadays, people see straight through that bullshit. You cannot get away with that on the internet. Maybe if this movie was released in 2000, maybe in the 90s, all right, maybe I feel like the outrage wouldn't be as significant, but especially right now, I mean, it's still warranted, period. But times are different right now. If you release a movie that leaves a bad taste in people's mouth, they will make it very clear. In conclusion, if I were a public figure and if I ever get to the point where I'm influencing a large amount of people, to the point where after my death, people are making films about me, and someone were to make a film about me like this, to say I would be livid would be the understatement of the damn century. I wouldn't even be rolling in my grave. I would ask Allah to put me back on earth for a day. For real. I'm scrapping with every person involved in this movie. It's crazy to think that in 2022, people are still viewing women in this light. And people want to view women in this light. I mean, obviously it's less numbers of people that want to view women this way, but there are still people like Dominic who exist, who want to view women, powerful women, like Marilyn Monroe in this light. Anyways, guys, this was a very, very tough video to get through, as, of course, obviously, as you can tell, it was very gruesome and disgusting, to say the least. So, anyways, I really hope, like I said, massive trigger warning here, I hope that was helpful to you guys. And let me know what you guys thought about this video, or the movie, in the comments down below. I really don't even know what to say, guys, but honestly, it was just horrendous. It was absolutely horrendous. But yeah, like I said, let me know what you guys thought about it in the comments down below, and I will see you guys on another video soon. The Boss B is signing out.
Okay, bye.